War Photographer by Duffy. In his dark room he is finally alone, with spools of suffering set out in ordered rows. The only light is red and softly glows, as though this were a church and he a priest preparing to intone a mass. Belfast, Beirut, Phnom Penh, all flesh is grass. He has a job to do. Solutions slop in trays beneath his hands, which did not tremble then, though seem to now. Rural England, home again, to ordinary pain which simple weather can dispel, to fields which don't explode beneath the feet of running children in a nightmare heat. Something is happening. A stranger's features faintly start to twist before his eyes, a half-formed ghost. He remembers the cries of this man's wife, and how he sought approval without words to do what someone must, and how the blood stained into foreign dust. 100 agonies in black and white, from which his editor will pick out 5 or 6 for Sunday's supplement. The reader's eyeballs prick with tears between the bath and pre-lunch beers. From the aeroplane he stares impassively at where he earns his living, and they do not care. A dark room is where an old-fashioned photographer goes to develop his photographs. You should know that by now, because if you weren't sure, you should have looked it up. Now, when something's ambiguous, remember, it means that it has 2 meanings or it is unclear. By starting off the poem this way, Duffy's using ambiguity quite well, as the word darkroom could also be a place where he is in an emotionally dark place because of the things he's had to witness recently. Spools are to do with the darkroom photography again, and the way that the film is rolled out to keep them safe in the developing process. The clever use of alliteration in spools of suffering draws our attention to the subject matter, and quite early in the poem it lays out that this is going to be a poem highlighting the suffering of others. The key word here is finally. We have to remember he has been in an awful place and has not really been able to process his thoughts. He's been in an airport, which is a very busy place, then on a jam-packed aeroplane, then back to a busy airport. The words finally alone show that he is clearly wanting to be alone for quite some time and is now simply relieved to be there. Now he gets to process his thoughts and feelings at the same time he processes his photographs. The solutions that he talks about here are the chemicals which are used to make the images appear on the photographic paper when he's developing in his darkroom. Duffy could be using some ambiguity here again with the word solutions, because obviously solutions are the way to solve a problem, and maybe he sees the photographs that he takes as being such an important way to get the message out to the world that these are literally solutions slopping in trays. So as he's developing them and moving the trays around with the physical solution in, the solution to the problems of the world lies within the tray. So another good use of ambiguity here by Duffy. Now there's another really important line where it says, which did not tremble, though seem to now. And here it's shown the effects that these kind of visits have had on people like this war photographer. When he's taken the photos, he's fine, he's composed. But now he has to relive each scenario. It's like he's suffering from PTSD and can't control himself anymore. And therefore, his hands begin to tremble, even though they weren't trembling when he was taking the photographs. This part of the poem's been written to highlight the differences between our country and the type of countries he's been to in the last stanza. The kind of pains that we often feel in our country can disappear when the sun comes out and we can enjoy our lives with a barbecue, a day at the beach, or a day playing in the park. This is in stark contrast to the landmines which can explode between the feet of children running away from the nightmares of war. When it says faintly start to twist before his eyes, this is the way it looks when a photograph is developing. It slowly starts to come into focus, and it's quite ghostly the way that it happens. Now think about what a ghost is: the spirit of a dead person. So a half-formed ghost must simply be someone who is dying. So their ghost is not fully formed. They haven't fully died yet. So he's on his way to death. Again, Duffy's being ambiguous here. The half-formed ghost is to describe the man dying and the photograph developing on the page. So she's using constant ambiguity throughout this poem in a really good way. When it says doing what someone must, it shows how he feels about his job. He knows that what he's doing is horrendous, but if he doesn't do it, who else will? His job is to make known to the world the suffering that is taking place around the world. When we see the effort that the war photographer went through, the fact that he developed 100 photos, and it seems that his editor is going to nonchalantly pick out 5 or 6 of the best for his magazine, must really get to the unnamed photographer, must make him feel like, what was the point? When Duffy says pricking the eyeballs with tears, it shows that it does have an impact on the people who see his photographs, which suggests that his job has been successful. But then it shows how much of a fleeting moment that this success lasts for. The fact that this person's gotten up, gone to the newsagents and bought the paper, come back, had a bath, then he sits down to read the paper. This won't be the only thing he reads in the paper. Then he has some beers before lunch. All of this shows that the tears people are crying don't last very long. This must have had massive impact on the photographer to know that he went through all of this and his impact has only lasted a few minutes, really. As it says in the last 4 words of the poem, they do not care.
Always think about the reason the poem has been written. Think about the way the poet has used certain techniques to create an effect in the poem, and always think about a poem that could be compared to this poem.